So, a little background on the theme of this service and this sermon. Church member Paula Siegel won the right to pick the sermon of her choice by being the high bidder at our online auction last February. Oh, Paula, thank you for this challenge. How do we love someone when they are not acting with love toward other people? How do we love ourselves when we are not always acting with love toward other people? How can you say I'm good when I've done such terrible things? Let's start with a person named Dottie. Dottie should have been a Unitarian Universalist. She was a Unitarian Universalist in action, value, and belief. She believed and worked for justice, for equity, transformation of herself and the world. She knew that pluralism meant strength was found in diversity. She understood the value of interdependence, that belief that we are all tied together in an inescapable web of shared life and experience. And generosity. She was generous of spirit. She truly was somebody who put love at the center of her life. And yet, she attended a different church, a different denomination. So one day I decided to ask, Dottie, why the heck are you not a Unitarian Universalist? And Dottie replied, every time I go to a Unitarian Universalist church, I'm told that I am good and that I am loved. But you know what? I'm not always good, and sometimes I do things or think things that are not coming from a place of love. I'm far from perfect. I go to church because I want to become a better person, not to be told I am okay just the way I am. Can't both be true? I asked Dottie. Can't we be seen as good and loved just as we are at this moment, even as we're challenged to become more skillful in our thoughts, words, and actions? Can't you be good and loved just the way you are in this moment, even as you strive to grow, deepen, and change into a better person? I said to Dottie, Unitarian Universalism isn't going to condemn or damn you. It wants to love you, even as it invites you to become part of a greater love that needs to be unleashed in the world. And you know, I say the same thing to us. Unitarian Universalism isn't going to condemn or damn us. It wants to love us, even as it invites us to become part of a greater love that needs to be unleashed into this world. So let's face it, we all have done unskillful things. And I usually love that word, unskillful, and I thank the Buddhists for giving us that language that softens the concept of our wrongdoing. But today, let's put aside unskillful. Let's face it, we all have thought hurtful, destructive, bad things. And if we're honest, we all have done hurtful, destructive, bad things. And most likely, at least a few of us are going to go on to think more hurtful, destructive, or bad things. And Maybe one or two of us are even going to go out and do something that is hurtful, destructive, something that might be labeled as bad. And we might be doing those things to ourselves or others. But even though that's true, Unitarian Universalism has had this audacious belief. No matter who we are, no matter what we do, no matter what harm we create in our lifetime, we are held in love. Let's say that together. No matter who we are, no matter what we do, no matter what harm we create during our lifetime, we are held in love. Now, don't get me wrong. No matter who we are, no matter what we do, we should also be held accountable in this lifetime for wrongs we have committed. But still, no matter who we are, no matter what harm we create, we believe we're still worthy of love. That's what Unitarian Universalism says. In this faith, love isn't reserved for a chosen few. Love isn't reserved just for those who live a good life. Love is big enough to hold us all. We don't earn it. It just is. And some of us call that amazing grace. As Erica Hewitt and Susan Frederick Ray wrote in the reading that Kim shared so beautifully a few minutes ago, we know that hurt moves through the world, perpetrated by action and inaction and indifference. Our values call us to live in the reality of the heartbreak of our world, remembering that no one is outside the circle of love. We who are Unitarian Universalists not only affirm the inherent worthiness and dignity of every person, we also affirm the inherent wholeness of every being, despite apparent brokenness. No one, not one of us, is outside the circle of love. In a sermon a few years ago, I suggested there are two questions that touch at the core of what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. Who is inside the circle of your love? Who is outside the circle of your love? Doing that mental inventory. As I say often, I believe the purpose of Unitarian Universalism is to expand the boundaries of our heart so that we can hold more, care more, and love more. So if we haven't already started, let's do a little inventory check. Who is inside the circle of your love? And now, who is outside the circle of your love? Teacher and writer Jack Kornfield tells this true story, which I've shared before. Jack says, once on a train from Washington to Philadelphia, I found myself seated next to a man who ran a rehabilitation program for juvenile offenders. Most of the youths he worked with were gang members who had committed homicide. A 14-year-old with few other opportunities found himself caught up in his neighborhood's gang culture. The 14-year-old shot and killed an innocent teenager to prove himself to the gang. At the trial, the victim's mother sat impassively silent until the end, when the youth was convicted of the killing. After the verdict was announced, she stood up slowly and stared directly at him and stated, "I'm going to kill you." Then the youth was taken away to serve several years in a juvenile facility. A year passed, and after that year had passed, the mother of the slain child went to visit his killer. He had been living in the streets before the killing, and she was the only visitor he'd had that whole time. For a time they talked, and when she left, she gave him some candy. Then she started step by step to visit him more regularly, bringing food and small gifts. Near the end of his 3-year sentence, she asked him what was he going to be doing when he got out. He was so confused. So she offered to help set him up with a job at a friend's company. Then she inquired about where he would live. And since he had no family to return to, she offered him temporary use of the spare room in her home. The spare room that had been the room her son slept in. For 8 months, that 17-year-old boy lived there, ate her food, and worked at the job. Then one evening, she called him into the living room. She sat down opposite him and just waited. The kid was nervous. Then she said, "Do you remember in the courtroom when I said I was going to kill you?" "I sure do," he replied. "I'll never forget that moment. I said I was going to kill you, and I did." She went on to say, "I did not want the boy who could kill my son for no reason to remain alive on this earth. I wanted him to die. That's why I started to visit you and bring you things. That's why I got you the job and let you live here in my house. That's how I set about changing you. And that old boy, he's gone. So now I want to ask you, since my son is gone and that killer is gone, will you stay here? I've got room, and I'd like to adopt you, if you'll let me." And she became the mother of her son's killer, the mother he never knew. Who is inside the circle of your love? Find it mind-blowing that mom, during a conflicted and difficult time, found an almost unfathomable ability to expand the boundaries of her heart to hold more, care more, and love more. What she did, inspiring as it is probably beyond most people's capacity to love. And it required that boy be cooperative, that he be open to change, and that he accept a different reality than the one he thought was true. But remember, to hold someone in the circle of love doesn't mean we have to be a superhero like that mother was. To hold someone in the circle of love doesn't mean we have to like that person. It doesn't mean we have to condone what they did. Holding someone in the circle of our love doesn't mean we don't hold them accountable for their actions or for the results of their words. Holding someone in the circle of love doesn't mean we want their wrongdoing to continue. It doesn't mean we don't have boundaries. It doesn't mean we have to see them ever again. But holding someone in the circle of our love means we don't intentionally harm them. Holding someone in the circle of our love means we don't hurt them. It means we don't dehumanize them. We don't other them. In many cases, it means we don't stop trying to understand where their fear, anger, or hate come from. In some cases, it means we don't stop trying to understand where our own fear, anger, or hate come from. We don't stop asking, as David E. Miller reminds us, what is the most loving thing I can do in this moment? That's an important question, and I invite us to say that together. What is the most loving thing I can do in this moment? And that includes asking, what is the most loving thing I can do for myself in this moment? We have to be included in the circle of our love. So, Paula asked, how do we love someone when they are not loving other people? How do we love ourselves when we are not always loving others? Perhaps we start with these words from Unitarian Universalist Taqiyya Nur Amin, who writes, "In every moment, life is giving us an invitation. I really believe that. In every moment, life is giving us an invitation to do the things that are the most loving. Doing the loving thing is always the answer when you don't know what to do or if you're feeling unsure. We all have to engage from wherever we are. And each moment presents an invitation for us to do that. Ask yourself, what is the most loving thing I can do in this moment for myself or for other people? What is the most loving thing we can do in this moment? Que así sea, bendito sea. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.